Marion? Chris? Christine? Leo? And Royce?
Here.
And Mark Bartels. We're all here.
We've got one missing, right?
Yes, Gary Ash.
Gary Ash.
Gary Ash is the only one missing. So our next order of business, our first order of business is public comments. And since I don't see anybody, I see one person here. Were you going to have a comment tonight?
Not really, this is my first meeting, just came to listen basically.
Okay, okay.
Welcome.
Since we don't have any public comments, we move on to our regular items. We need a motion to move on,
I move.
I'll second.
okay?
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, and a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Okay.
Everybody, anybody against the minutes? No? Okay, we're good. We got approval for that. I guess tonight is we're gonna have, the majority of our time is gonna be spent listening to Patrick.
That's right. Yes, sir, that would be me.
And, a traffic safety update first.
Yep.
And then receive the police department update on the current programs.
Okay, let me start with the Traffic Safety Working Group. So part of the town's strategic plan, one of the main goals is for the police department and the public safety thing to do a traffic safety study. So looking at speeds, conditions of our roads, lighting, golf carts, the electric scooters, all those things combined into one thing. So what I did was I put together a working group. So I have 3 citizens on the working group and a couple of police officers to go out and study the community. So Royce is actually one of those citizens. And we've already had 2 meetings. We've laid out some plans, we've laid out some guidance, we've looked at maps of the town, we've talked about some old issues, some potential issues, some potential fixes. And now what we've tasked the group with is going out and doing observations and surveys. So we were going to go out and ask them to use a handheld radar and look at some stuff, but the town manager was nice enough to approve some funding, so we went and bought a radar trailer. So I'm not sure if you've seen it around town, but our current radar trailer doesn't work, and our signs are old and obsolete, and we can't get them to talk to a computer anymore. So this device, state-of-the-art, it tells us everything we want to know. It tracks the number of cars, the speed. It tells us if cars are slowing down when they see the sign. It captures an image of a car if we set it to a certain limit. It also has red and blue flashing lights. And we can have it say whatever we want it to say. So it's been a great asset so far. So we're taking that away from the working group so they don't have to go out and do speeds. We're moving this around town to help us. But it's really given us some good insight to what's really going on in our traffic flows. Do we have people going fast? Absolutely. But we also have people, the average speed is all below 30. No matter where we put this device, out of the average car, like on Trophy Park Drive, we had it there for 6 hours or 8 hours. The average speed was 26 miles an hour. Did we have somebody go 40 something? Yeah, we had a couple of those. So, but that's out of 680 cars, 3 or 4 doing that wasn't, what we thought. But it also breaks it down by time. So we can see every half hour what people are doing, what those speeds are, how many cars are going through at that half an hour mark. So if we wanted to deploy an enforcement type activity, we know when a good time to do it is. So that's why you see it staying for a couple of days in each location, up to a week. So we get a pattern of what the week looks like. So that's been a great asset. That's part of our traffic safety program. So just a nice little tool. So as we continue with that program over time, we're going to collect a bunch of data. We're going to look for golf carts, and then we're going to make recommendations to council. So, and we'll include this board in that process as we move forward. So.
Well, I got a question. I know that we can't use cameras anymore to record speed and issue tickets just flat out.
Right.
However, could we record the stuff, find out where the people are, and send them a nice little letter
Yeah, so,
that says,
This-
according to our new equipment, you're driving a little bit fast in Trophy Club?
yeah, well,
Because if they ever got that,
yeah. So this device has a
Right.
camera built into it, but the
Yeah.
camera's more for theft type stuff, but it will take an image if we wanted to. If we set a speed limit and say, hey, capture a speed, it'll capture a vehicle, maybe not enough to get a license plate or anything, but there's another version that we may buy next year. But we actually have done that in the past. We've had people send in their video of their dash cams where cars have passed them in Trophy Club. And unfortunately, dash cam records speed, their current speed, so we know how fast they're going, and they were going pretty fast, and a car blew by them on the right. So we have sent them letters saying, hey, with the image we capture off those videos, saying, hey, not only do we know it's you because we're reading your license plate, we send it to the owner and say, hey, don't do that in Trophy Club. So yes, we do that.
that's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep, so, but also, with the safety program that I'm carrying out with the town, the enhancements we've done here in the building with the new glass, bulletproof glass in our both counters, we are including cameras around town. Those are being done as we speak. So by the end of, middle of March, we should be up and running with cameras at all of our parks, concession stands, parking lots that we own.
How many
Well,
total?
And we're redoing the ones here in the building. So totally, all the ones that are being done are 77 cameras. There's about 40 here in the building that do the parking lot, all the rooms in these buildings. So about 30 around town.
These
In
are
our-
different than the, like, flat cameras.
Yeah, the flock cameras, no, completely independent.
Okay.
They are cloud-based. So we currently have this system at the dog park and at Trophy Club Park. So we're adding to that system by monitoring our concession stands in the park, our baseball fields, soccer fields, the Veterans Memorial Park, the pool parking lot, all of those will have cameras. We have a lot of graffiti and stuff happening, kids
Yeah.
doing things, people driving through the
How
park.
long is the loop before it starts again?
It's all cloud-based,
Oh, it's
so there
all-
is no,
You can go back a year if you, when you.
possibly, yeah, depends on what agreement we have, but yeah.
So
Tho-
maybe-
That system is different,
Maybe we can catch some of those cruel people that are dumping dogs out in the dog park
yeah, so.
and leaving them.
So, and we're adding another camera to give us more visibility, because those ones at the dog park really just watch the parking lot. So we're adding one more out there as we go, so we have a better image of what's happening in the kids' play area, so, through this program. So,
That's good, I'm glad to hear that.
yep, so, that's it for that item. Continuing on with our safety programs that the board funds, our SRO program is doing really well. So, we have 2 SROs at the schools, and we supplement that with a 3rd officer from Roanoke who actually reports to us. That program's going well. They're keeping us really busy. We have almost 4,200 kids in all 4 schools. That doesn't include staff. So that number just keeps growing until they build some more schools. So the new high school is going to help relieve some of that pressure, because we're at 3,200 kids, I think, at Byron Nelson as we speak. So, and I think their capacity is 35.
SRO does, are they there every day?
Yep, every school day, they're there. So we have 2 at the high school and 1 at the middle school. And then we have other officers, along with the school district's security personnel, marshals and stuff, that are at the elementary schools. So there is a person at every school. So, yeah, we unfortunately have to deal with issues at the schools, but one of the programs that we really got into last year that didn't get off the ground, that's now off the ground and running, is our home security inspection program. We had an officer going to go to the training, and then the weather hit, and they canceled the school, so we got out of that training. We now have that program up and running again. We had the officers doing it before Scott Voigt retired, so we filled that position, so we're back up and running in that program. So that's good for us. And then the take-home Silver Alert program is also back up and running. So we have about 14 people enrolled in that program. That's for people that live in town with dementia and elderly or young special needs kids. You can enroll them in our program. It's confidential, but if they were lost or walking around town and found by somebody and we get there, we can look in our system to see if we have their photograph and contact information for their assistance to get them
Oh,
back to
that's
where they
great.
belong.
I wasn't
So-
even aware of that program. That's
Yep,
great.
so if you have an elderly relative or somebody living with you, or, of a family that needs that type of protection,
My neighbor,
yep, so, I think we deal with your neighbor. So, But yeah, so we have that program up and running, and we do use it. It actually works out pretty well for us. So we're trying to expand that to make sure that we're capturing anybody in town that needs that. So it's a little bit different than the fire department one, because they're doing it for a different reason than we are. So you may hear a similar program for the fire department. Theirs is for medical emergencies, ours are for lost or disoriented people out in the public.
And what is it called again?
It's the elderly take-home, take-back program. So it's on our website. You can sign up online and submit a picture online, and we put it in a secure database. So,
And the home security program, is that something you have to request?
yes, you can call us up, and we'll have an officer come out to your house, and they'll walk around with you, talk about security issues, shrubbery, if it should be there or not.
Recommendations or
Yep.
something? Yeah.
Talk about cameras and things like that, and talk to you how to, if you want to include your video in our program, you can do that also. So,
People taking advantage of it?
a few, yep. Now that it's back up and running, it was working really well when we had Scott Voigt here, and then we had that lull, and now that we got the officer trained, so we're back into that game.
But it's online, so people.
You can request a visit from an officer online, yep, through our website, yep.
Great.
So, awesome. Any other questions on that stuff? Our next meeting will be the beginning of our budget. So that's the meeting where I'm going to bring you some ideas on what I think the budget should support next year, and we'll have finance here with us to tell you what the possible numbers are going to look like for next year, because over the last 2 years, we'll be consistent with about 360,000. So I'm hoping we have a little bit more next year, but we'll start the budget discussion in our next meeting. So it might be a little longer for the next one to talk about that kind of stuff. So, and I'll send out stuff to you well in advance of things that we're looking at, like the current budget, where we stand, and what we're thinking about for next year. So if there's anything you guys, programs you want us to enhance or talk about, please let me know, and I'll add it to the agenda. So, very good. Any questions?
Do we have a date for the next meeting?
No, not yet. But we'll send out an email about 3 weeks before with a couple different dates to see if we can get everybody there. Yep. And welcome on board, Marion. Sorry about that. So, yes.
Any educational things that we could do this year that you would be interested in doing? Remember last year we did community theft?
Yes, and we've,
Want to continue?
yep, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that, but we did just do our first class at the Activity Center.
That's right.
So we've sort of enhanced that program, took what we did last year and enhanced it a little bit more with more of an internet-based threat assessment. So we had 15 people at that class. So,
I'll tell you something, right before school started this year, I went out with my wife to help her at Northwest, and one thing I noticed in the school was everywhere I went, there were posters about fentanyl. And I think that's a really good thing.
Yep.
However, when the kids just walk by them every day, they don't really pay any attention to them. And my son is, he has a nonprofit that does art stuff. Well, he did one for North Texas Health Resources that has 5 locations about venereal disease. And nobody would take their stuff that they had there, but he did it to look like a kid's comic book.
yeah,
And he did thousands of them for them because they used them up so much, they gave them to everybody. And I asked him one time, do you think he could do something for the schools
okay. Sounds
around
good.
here? Because I know what happens. The more money in a community, the more drug problems. It's just a fact.
Well,
It doesn't matter what school you're going to. It could be a religious school. It doesn't matter.
yeah. Well, remember last year we bought the drug
Yeah.
narco?
Yeah.
True Narc. We've had the opportunity to use it, and we found fentanyl pills. So, and it's being used at the schools, so,
That could be a one-and-done scenario right there.
yep, absolutely. So we're pressing that, so, good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Well, I guess we got a quicker than 30-minute meeting today.
Yes, you did. Good job.
So it's now 6:14,
That's it.
and nobody else has anything to say? We're done.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
That was great.
That was quick.